Hey everybody, welcome back. This is lesson 53, an equation of a line slope-intercept form. We are starting in unit 7, which is on linear functions. We're going to do a lot of graphing of lines and pulling apart all sorts of things that go along with lines, including the things that we're going to talk about today. So the first thing, it says slope-intercept form. You need to be very familiar with y equals mx plus b. The m stands for the slope of a line, which is really how steep it is. It is. And then the letter B in our equation is going to be the y-intercept, which is really where the graph hits the y-axis. There we go. So you can identify the slope and y-intercept pretty easily if the equation of your line is in y equals mx plus b form. Take a look at this. Y equals 4x plus 1. The slope, or the m, of my line is going to be 4. And typically when I write a slope, I'm going to write it as a fraction. So if it's a whole number, I'm just going to make it look like a fraction by putting it over 1. And my b, or my y-intercept in this equation, is right here where the b is, and that's going to be positive 1. And that's how simple it is. But what happens if it's not in y equals mx plus b form? Let's see an example of that. So what if it's not in y equals mx plus b form? So this equation, y minus 5x equals 6. Again, I want it to say y equals mx plus b. My m is really small. Okay. So what I really wanted to say is y equals. So I have to isolate my y. So that means I have to get everything on the other side of that equal sign that isn't y. So I'm going to move that negative 5x. And again, just like we were doing when we solved, to get rid of a minus 5x, I'm going to do the opposite operation. The inverse operation will just add 5x on both sides. My 5x's will cancel out. And again, I can rewrite this. I cannot combine them because they are not like terms. But because I wanted to say mx plus b, I'm going to put the 5x in the front and the 6 in the back. Now, there's no symbol in front of 6, which means that's a positive. So I'm going to include a positive sign in there. So now it says 5x plus 6. And now I can figure out my slope. Again, my slope is my m, and that is the number 5. And again, I'm going to write that as a fraction, 5 over 1. And my b, or my y-intercept, is going to be positive 6. There we go. So again, some practice problems at the bottom. This one is not in y equals form, so I'm going to do the moving first. I have to get it to say y equals, so I'm going to have to get rid of that plus 2 by subtracting 2 on both sides. What makes this process really easy is I'm not actually doing any math, I'm just moving things around. Because I want it in mx plus b form, I'm going to put the negative 3 halves with the x in front and the minus 2 in the back. Now I can easily identify my slope, negative 3 halves, and identify my b. This time, I'm actually going to write negative 2. So it's not just 2, it's negative 2, because that symbol, that minus sign, is going to come with it. Over here, it is in y equals form, but I'm missing something. Y equals mx plus b. So I see the m, which is 5, and again, I'm going to write it as a fraction, 5 over 1. But there is no b. There's nothing there. So technically, I added 0. I'm going to say my b is 0. As long as there's nothing there, then my b is 0. And the same thing would happen if there was nothing next to x. If there was like, if it just said y equals 6, well then my y-intercept is 6, but I have no slope because there is no mx. So just take that under advisement. Talk about that. Okay. Again, this last one is not in y equals form, so I'm going to have to move something to the other side to get it. Just to finish up your notes, I want you to finish up this last problem. Let's see what you can do, and we'll talk about it when you come back to class. Take it easy.